Hello, how do I start a new garden bed? It is now the only way, not just one way. This bed is a grass area or a grassy area, just like the one that I'm showing you. And yesterday, April 19, 2025, my daughter and I, we work on it. We use the hoe and the fork to loosen up the grass with the fork and use the hoe to carry it, or use the fork in some areas. We just put a little bit angle in the ground, lift it, cut the sod, and turn it to put the roots up, the leaf down. So the less expensive way to start a new bed on a grassy area will be to remove the grass. It was not easy. It was very hard and hard in some areas of the bed to cut through the sod. But again, is in early spring. The grass is not growing yet. We didn't even have to mow. My daughter suggested, but I think she thought it's going to be the only things we'll do just to mow and that's it. But it's now, the grass is not growing yet, so we didn't have to mow. But if your grass is taller, you might have to mow it and then remove it, or just get the fork and get to work. But it was not easy to remove the sod, but that is the less expensive way to do it, to remove the grass, to access the dirt. So the way we did it, because when we lift the sod, it has some mud underneath it, we couldn't shake the mud completely off of it. Therefore, we didn't, shake the grass, shake the dirt off and put the grass on the side. We didn't really do that. We tried to do that in some areas, like on this side. We put some there, but the key point is to try to have the grass upside down, the roots up, so that they don't grow back. And it's not the first time I did this method to access the bed right away and plants, but it's not the easiest one. So we hold it pretty much and all the way, and the pathway that we will live in it as well, which will be all around the bed. And we put the fence so that deers don't walk through that area, and we planted radish. So that is one way, less expensive way to start a garden bed right away on a grassy area. So when you do it this way, you plant. But while you are going to plant, you might have to think it through a little bit. If you have multiple things you plan to plant, you might have to think it through to see which one can help you continue breaking down the grass. So a root crop will be a good idea, depending on what it is to do. Otherwise, a salad might work too. But something that will have a quick, like you plant it, it will grow fast. Does that make sense? It will grow fast. And then, I don't know, I just thought radish will be a good one. And more things that I have on hand to plant. Because it's going to be a root and we are going to harvest it, it's going to allow us to keep breaking down the area, allowing the grass to keep breaking down more. Because again, we might have to weed it as the radish is growing, because some of the leaves are facing up. That means those will root back. So we'll have to, when things start growing, we might have to weed, shaking those grass again or by the time we are harvesting the radish, when we are harvesting the radish, we will shake this area again by harvesting those root crops. Does that make sense? So that is one option right there. Another thing could be maybe potato, but depend on the season. It might not be the time to plant potato, but potato could be a one as well, in the sense that they will be digging down further to plant it and to close the hole. Does that make sense? And then when they start growing, they will leaf out. Or if you are mounting, you will mulch it. As they are growing, you can mulch it to pretty much smother more of the grass. But you just have to try and see what works for you. But the strategy that I work with here is we did it like this, and it was easy for us to plant radish because radish grow fast. Therefore, we planted radish, and we did have a plan for different things we will be planting here. So the strategy is raining quite a bit. The strategy that we have is to plant radish. The one we have is 25 days, and when we harvest it, we will plant turnip greens, which is a root crop as well, and 45 days to maturity for the one we have. And when we harvest that one, we will plant carrots and then plant beets between the rows of the carrot. And the carrot is 70 days, the beet is 60 days. So we might estimate 65 days to harvest them both. And that will take us to somewhere in September. And we will plant turnip green again, which is 45 days. That will take us past our first frost in October, which is October 7 in average. But because turnip greens can be can be okay with few frosts, so we can push it. Our estimate is from maybe September 18 or 19 to October 7, we might have about less than 30 days there. So we might push it to get to wait for 45 or 40 days to harvest it. I'm not sure. But I think radish, we might even plant turnips and then plant radish between it, because the September 19 to October 7 will be great for that radish that is 25 days to maturity. So we can plant radish between the rows of turnips greens and see if one does not pan out, one will, because that time frame will work well for radish. But we can see if we will be able to get turnips to its maturity of 45 days by staying in the ground 2 weeks, after that's October 7. So that is the rotation plan for this garden. That's the plan. It does not mean that's what will happen necessarily, but at least we have a plan to see how we can maximize this bed, which is 3 feet wide, and I'm not sure how many feet long, maybe 14 feet long, 3 feet wide. So from April 19, 2025, 25 days will take us to May, and then we plant 45 days of turnips. That will take us to July, and then we will plant carrot and beets, both 60 days and 70 days. We can harvest them around 65 days. That will take us to September, mid-September, and we can plant turnip greens again. So that will be 4 crop rotation with 1 or 2 intent planting. When we plant beets in the rows of carrots and then radish in the rows of turnip greens. We'll have 2 interplants in there and 4 rotation crop or succession crops to see if you'll be able to maximize this area like that. And we have water soluble fertilizer, you might call it artificial fertilizer. That's what we will use. And yeah, we might try to, I don't know if we will mulch this area. We tend to mulch our bed. So you can see I'm more of a perennial gardener. I grow perennial vegetables. So, and I'm trying to grow more annual this year and learn to grow them. So, but we will see how that will work out. And as you can see, that is another area of our garden. You can see how the pathway is mulch and the bed is mulch. So we have Egyptian onion that are growing. We are harvesting some for fresh eating already. We have sorrel growing there as well. But I just feel like I'm not maximizing the existing garden well, in the sense that I feel like there is a lot of pathway that are more pathway than growing area. It's just my opinion though. But yeah, that is just one way of starting a new bed. Another way that you can start a new bed is you can put a cardboard box on the ground, and that is one thing I like to do. And I don't know if I'll do it this year for next year, but where the bricks are, I like to have another bed, because you can see this new bed that we created. I like to have another bed somewhere here, and I like to use those bricks to limit it. It will be like, yeah, a bed with a frame. Like we use the brick for the bed, and then put cardboard box or junk nails. You see the grass. On the grass, completely covered, put the bricks down, make the paper go past the bricks area, put the bricks on the paper to limit the bed, and then use leaves and wood chips on top of the cardboard box or the junk mail. And we have 4 leaves there that we can take some and spread it on it. And why not add some wood chips, and then food scrap, we can put it on it. So pretty much in some way compost in it this year all the way to next spring, and then move the wood chips and the leaves to the side to see if the cardboard box and the paper broke down, and then we can access the dirt underneath it. If the wood chips and the leaves didn't compost by then, we can still access the dirt underneath the cardboard box without the grass in it, and plant straight in it. Does that make sense? So start it this year by trying to compost on top of the grass, laying cardboard box or junk mail papers down, and then put leaves on it, wood chips on it, and food scrap on it throughout the year. And next year, if they didn't turn into compost by then, they will be a mulch. We move them to the side to see if the cardboard box broke down, which will most likely broke down in some way. If not, at least the grass will not be underneath it, and we can just dig underneath and plant. And when things start growing, we can move the mulch back to mulch it. So that is a second way. Another way to start gardening, the third way to start gardening on a grassy area right away will be in spring. Since the grass is not growing tall yet, or even so, you mow the grass, and then you lay down potatoes. You start with potatoes. For instance, big seed. Potato is an example. That's how I start the bed here, where we have those tulips growing. I cut them down to plant some annuals, beets and carrots but I don't know if they are coming. Beet is coming out. I don't know about carrot yet. But this area, this bed, I have apple tree right there, and I have a lot of perennial sorrel and herbs and Egyptian onion. But this bed, the way I started one year, maybe it was 2015 or 16, was I ordered potatoes. So in the spring, I laid down potatoes and mulch it with wood chips. So when the potatoes start growing, I kept mulching. So by the time I harvest potato, grass was gone. That's how I took grass away from this area. And that is another way, an easy, less expensive way to do it. Because potato was a big seed, it was easy for me to mulch it heavily from the start. And when they start growing, I just keep mounting it and with wood chips. And you can use wood chips or hay, alfalfa hay, for instance. But just keep, mounting those, and the grass will stay underneath it. And you might have to cut grass in some area if they are, coming up. But that was a very quick way for me to clean up, to pretty much start this new bed here. That is fence there from the wood chips after the apple tree to here. So that was, I believe that was that area, if I recall right. Otherwise that would be this area, which was a grassy area as well. I don't know which one I start like that. I don't think I did both like in one go. But yes, and as you can see, we do not have grass in those areas. But again, this bed has been around for some years now. I started growing in pretty much on this property since 2014, but adding areas to it little by little. But that is another way, a third way you can start a garden on a grassy area. Another way you can do that though, which will be more expensive way, will be to put a cardboard box and junk mail on the grass, completely covered, and then buy compost, buy topsoil to pour on it, buy compost to pour on top, and plants. If you start it like that, that means you are not starting with your own soil. You are starting with a soil you purchase. So you are going to create that soil. So it will be good to start with, and that is an example of a topsoil. It will be good to start with a vegetable that is humus, manure. So it will be good to start with a plant that does not have a tap root or does not go too deep in the ground, and that will allow you not to need a lot of soil on top of the cardboard box or papers. And after a year, the grass will go away, the paper will break down, and then you'll have your own soil underneath the topsoil and manure or compost that you purchase, and you can now grow in your own ground as well. But that one will require you to spend more money and less of your time and start it like that. So those are 4 ways you can start a garden on a grassy area. Another way that I didn't specify, which I tried, was, you see the way they almost was car. I did that when we were in an apartment. You buy the compost, you just cut it like that, you put cardboard box down, you cut it like that, you put it on top of the cardboard box, and you cut the top like that, you poke a hole underneath the bag, and then you just plant. You plant in here. At the end of the season, you shake the soil out of the bag onto the cardboard box, to take the bag out of your garden, the whatever is underneath the cardboard box, grass and weed, will go away. The cardboard box might break down somehow, but by the next spring you'll be able to have the soil underneath it and the soil that you purchase to work with and plant straight in your soil as well. That's another way. And I tried that one in an apartment, and I grow vegetables on the bag like that. Even raspberry that I purchased, I planted like that. And when we moved here, it was the same year we moved here. So I transfer things to containers to move, but that was the way I started in an apartment before we moved here. So I purchased those. I'm not sure what I tried to plant in here, but clearly they are still here. And I purchased this one to use it, but I didn't use it. But I'm sure those weird flower growing next way are poking through it. But I'm going to use those soil somehow, maybe for the new bed that I'm trying to compost on and to be able to access next year. But those are the few, maybe 5, 6, I'm not sure anymore, ways that you can, start your garden. And that's if you are okay growing in the ground, and that's what I do. And the bed that I just showed you earlier there, 3 feet tall raised bed, is my first, I will say, raised bed here, and it's something new to me as well. Otherwise I prefer to grow in the ground. It's easy for me to change pathway into a growing area and change a growing area into a pathway, move things around. But yeah, I'm trying to learn to grow annual vegetables. I don't pay them too much attention because I focus more on perennial vegetables and fruit trees. But I like to, trying to learn to grow annual vegetables so that I can supplement my perennial vegetables with annual vegetables. Thank you so much for your time. We thank you very much for watching our videos. We thank you very much for all your comments. And we thank you very much, you all that subscribe to our channel. I'm Afiavi, Liberman, Curious of Liberman Consulting, L.L.C, YouTube channel, and ninasoap.com, our blog. On our channel and on our blog, we share different ways to save money and different ways to make money to reach your financial independence, where you do not depend on an employer to provide for your family. And growing your own food is one way to save money. This bed that I'm showing you right now, the first option was the way I started this bed. I cut the grass, turn it upside down in this area from that wood all the way there and all the way up. And I did that some years ago, maybe 2015 or so. You can see the grass here, but we can see a little bit on the bed, not so much because I have not really planted much here. After the first or second year planting here, I planted gray shallots in here 2015 or so, and I harvest them. I didn't really harvest them. I let them come back year after year until they disappear on their own. Gray shallots, yes. So you can see we have some grass there, and then I'm pretty much trying to plant certain things randomly. Raspberry has been here. A few are still here. I have some Egyptian onion. I have comfrey there. I have persimmon that is been shooting around, but coming from the mother tree there, that is pretty much branching out. They all came from that mother tree, and I have all those trees from that persimmon tree trying to grow here. I have rhubarb, rose radish, which is a perennial to our zone 5A that I planted there. I have garlic that is growing here every year, comes back. I planted turnips green here some year, and they did well as well. And I planted parsnips. I let them go to seed, they came back and they just come back year after year. We have horseradish there as well. That is pretty much branching out because they try to grow around. That's there, but and as you can see, you don't really see much grass here, but it took work digging the grass and flip it and do it all the way to be able to plant that gray shallot in fall that year. But by the time I harvest some of those and plant a few things there year after year, pretty much don't have much grass there. And you can see we have some here, but again, you can see my neighbor's yard. You can see the grass there, and you can see this area, how less grass I have there. That is what it can become, that new bed that I just showed you that I started yesterday. That's how it can become over time, but it will take me a few times, keep improving on it, like keep weeding the grass, does that make sense, to get it to that stage. At least I did it the passive way by growing some long period crop like shallots or I don't know, parsnips, things like that. They take multiple weeks from when you plant it to harvest. Even this area, I don't really know how I turned this into this, but oh, I think I know. I will probably have mulch with wood chips. That is a quick way to turn a grassy area into an amenable place to grow. You just put wood chips on top of it, and well, by the following year it'll be ready, type of things. But yeah, it just, you have those options that you can work with. It all depends on if you want that place now to grow now, and you are willing to put in the time to turn the grass, or you are willing to buy the soil, to bring the soil to put down and grow on it. Therefore, you can just lay cardboard balls and put your soil and start growing on that soil until the soil underneath the cardboard balls is empty of grass, and then you can access it the following year. Thank you so much for your time. Do you grow your own food? Do you grow in the ground, or do you use containers, or do you use raised bed? Will you please share your experience with us? Thank you.